China to mark this country's first official victory day over Japan. Former chief executive from Hong Kong calling on people to get behind the new
Radio
plans
China
for universal
International
suffrage in the city.
at
Leaders of
1
Ukraine and
o'clock
Russia speaking over the phone
UTC
ahead of a new round of peace talks planned
on
for
the
tomorrow.
3rd
Business
of
Samsung
September
releasing a new series of products ahead of
2014.
Apple's new rollout slated for next week. Sports, a new pair of teams being confirmed for the forthcoming China Basketball Association season. And in entertainment, Hollywood star George Clooney takes on a film connected to the UK phone hacking scandal. Let's check in first and foremost with what's happening weather-wise. Ben Ray joins me on the desk. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Well, after a few days of rain and relatively cooler temperatures than we have been seeing here in the capital, the sunshine bled through yesterday afternoon and seems to be, as a peek out the window at least, continuing so far this morning. What's the official forecast holding for us?
Well, Beijing will be sunny today with a high of 32 degrees Celsius. Overnight temperature should drop down to around 18. Shanghai will be cloudy during the daytime with a high of 28. Overnight, it will be cloudy with a low of 23. In Chongqing, it will have moderate rain with a high of 26. Overnight lows are expected to be around 22. Elsewhere in the world, staying here in Asia, Islamabad will see slight rain with a high of 30. Kabul will be sunny with a high of 28. Over to North America, New York will be cloudy with a high of 31 degrees. Washington will have slight rain with a high of 32 degrees. Honolulu cloudy 27. Toronto, Canada will be cloudy with a high of 30 degrees. And finally on to South America, Buenos Aires will be cloudy with a high of 22, and Rio de Janeiro will have slight rain with a high of 21 degrees Celsius.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Ray. And just a reminder, a few ways to keep in contact with us here on the Beijing Hour. You can send us an email directly, beijinghour@cri.com.cn, or follow us on our Weibo and WeChat accounts by simply typing in the Beijing Hour and finding us that way. 4 minutes past the hour. China has marked the 69th anniversary of the victory over Japan in World War II with a high-profile ceremony and a symposium attended by the country's top leadership. First time China has commemorated September 3rd as Victory Day since the government made an official observance day for it earlier this year. We get more from CRI's Ticker. Attending the symposium marking Victory Day with other top Chinese leaders, President Xi Jinping has summarized the significance of the victory.
中国人民抗日战争的伟大胜利，彻底粉碎了
The great victory in the Chinese people's war of resistance against the Japanese aggression utterly crushed the Japanese militarism scheme of enslaving China. The victory resurrected China's status as a big country in the world and created bright prospects for the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Xi Jinping notes China was the first country in the world to combat fascist forces, and has also pointed out China's fight was the longest in World War II, playing a decisive role in the ultimate disruption of the Japanese forces. The president has also taken time to criticize Japanese political organizations and politicians who continue to deny facts and international justice connected to the war.
事实就是事实，公理就是公理，一切性 facts are facts, truth is truth.
Any irresponsible words and actions that distort facts are in vain. With the utmost resolution and effort, we will join with people over the world, safeguard the victory in the Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the world war against the fascism. China will allow neither denial, no distortion of its history, nor any return to militarism. The historical tragedy can never repeat. Xi Jinping is also calling on Japanese politicians to be prudent in dealing with historical issues, learn lessons from past aggression, and stick to the road of peaceful development. At the symposium, President Xi Jinping has also called on the Chinese people to carry on the national spirit of the anti-Japanese war, saying the country is facing what he calls many great battles in its future development.
在前进的征程上，我们必须坚定不移走中国特色。
In the journey ahead of us, we must unswervingly adhere to the socialist path with Chinese characteristics, put development as CPC's top task in governance, comprehensive deepen reform, and stick to the path of peaceful development. As part of the commemorations, Xi Jinping and other top leaders have attended the ceremony to mark Victory Day. They presented flower baskets in honor of those killed, meeting with a group of veterans and relatives of the martyrs.
The 14 dance soldiers also sailed at the ceremony, symbolizing China's 40-year struggle, which lasted from 1931 to 1945. 3,500 doves have also been released, symbolizing the estimated 35 million Chinese soldiers and civilians who were killed or wounded by Japanese troops. CRI and CG.
Meantime, to commemorate the 69th anniversary of Japanese troops surrendering to the Chinese government, a series of videos have been unveiled in Hunan. The 3 videos shot by American photographers document Japanese military officials signing the Memorandum of Surrender, along with handing over maps outlining Japanese military installations in China. Jian Hong is curator of the Museum of the Acceptance of the Japanese Surrender in Hunan.
这张纸就是将受降的。The map shows the time when Japan surrendered. It symbolizes Japan's unconditional surrender in Zhejiang, Hunan province. It shows the deployment of all of the remaining Japanese troops, some 1.28 million air, land, and sea troops. Handing over the map meant that after the surrender ceremony, the Japanese troops deployed across China have fully surrendered.
Meantime, in Shanghai, officials there have unveiled a wall commemorating the influx of Jewish refugees into China in the 1930s and 40s. Some 30,000 Jewish refugees fled to China during the period when Nazi Germany was undertaking its systematic persecution of the Jews. A former chief executive in Hong Kong has broken his long-standing silence in the city to come out in support of the new proposal for universal suffrage in 2017. CRI's Hong Kong correspondent Li Jing has more.
In his first news conference since stepping down as the city's leader in 2005, Tang Chihua says he hopes the people of Hong Kong will seize the opportunity to move forward in its political development.
當我哋正要作出開埠以嚟70多年 on the verge of our going through the biggest political leap since the birth of Hong Kong 150 years ago, how can we possibly choose to stand still? How can we let our march towards democracy stop and stall? We cannot. 5 million voters personally picking their leaders is democracy, real and substantial.
Tang Chihua, who is currently the vice chair of China's top political advisory body, says even though some people are not satisfied with the candidates being nominated by a broadly representative committee as proposed by the National People's Congress, the plans do have a solid foundation.
我呼籲全港嘅市民，大家攜手。I appeal to people of all political stripes to come together and turn negative sentiment into positive energy. Hand in hand, we will build a sound electoral arrangement on the basis of the foundation laid down by the NPC.
Under the proposal set forth by the National People's Congress, candidates for Hong Kong's chief executive must love the country and love Hong Kong. Tang Chihua says the provision actually involves 3 elements. He also says he's resolutely opposed to the so-called Occupy Central movement. This is a good approach to the new proposals who claim they plan to disrupt Hong Kong's financial district in an attempt to try to press their demands for broader electoral reforms in the city. The CRI, this is Li Jing in Hong Kong.
10 minutes past the hour. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has held a conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin ahead of a new round of peace talks in Minsk, expressing hopes that a peace deal could be reached by tomorrow.
Our first task is peace. That is why today at 5 a.m., taking into account the time difference, I had a long conversation with Putin. How can anyone be against the peace? How can anyone reject the fact that people must stop dying?
Representatives of Ukraine, the rebels, and Russia are due to meet tomorrow in Belarus to continue talks which began earlier this week. Vladimir Putin has put forward a 7-point proposal to end the violence in eastern Ukraine. Says the plan includes international monitoring team and the exchange of hostages.
I very much count on Ukrainian leadership supporting this emergent progress in bilateral relations and using the positive work of the contact group to achieve a fair and a comprehensive resolution of the situation in southeastern Ukraine.
Putin also says he hopes a peace deal will be reached by Friday, a comment later echoed by Poroshenko. U.S. and the European Union have accused Russia of arming the rebels, a claim the Kremlin denies. Meantime, France has suspended the delivery of helicopter warships to Russia, with President Francois Hollande saying the timing isn't right. U.S. President Barack Obama has also reaffirmed NATO's alliance with the Baltic states as part of a 12-hour trip to Estonia. Obama is in Europe right now to attend a forthcoming NATO meeting. Obama says the United States, meantime, will not be intimidated by Islamic State militants. Comments come in the wake of the beheading of a second American journalist this week. Speaking on his current trip to Europe, Obama says Washington will build a coalition to degrade and destroy the Islamic State.
We will be intimidated. We'll perhaps only unite us as a country and stiffen our resolve to take the fight against these terrorists. And those who make the mistake of harming Americans will learn that we will not forget and that our reach is long and that justice will be served.
Comments come after the U.S. government verified the authenticity of a video released Tuesday showing the beheading of freelance reporter Stephen Sadloff. This gruesome murder comes just 2 weeks after fellow journalist James Foley was beheaded on video as well. Obama's been kind of under fire by his Republican detractors who say the White House lacks a coherent approach to fighting the extremist group. Obama says he plans to consult with his NATO allies at a summit in Wales on a strategy to combat the Islamic State and other militant networks. The head of the World Health Organization has issued a new warning about the Ebola virus, noting over 40% of all the cases in West Africa have occurred within the past month. Of the over 3,500 people who have contracted the virus, more than half, 1,900, have died. The WHO says the current Ebola outbreak is the worst seen in the last 40 years. WHO Director General Margaret Chan.
It has become a global threat, and we require urgent action. And we need a well-coordinated mechanism bringing together the countries affected as well as development partners from other countries, including USA.
The United Nations has been calling for funding of around $600 million to fight the outbreak. The WHO has identified 6 countries at risk for the spread of Ebola. So far, the current outbreak has been limited to West Africa mostly. However, separate cases of Ebola have also begun to emerge in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Central Africa. 14 minutes past the hour. A second inmate who escaped a detention center in Heilongjiang has been captured. Wang Damin was picked up just a couple of hours after his fellow escapee Li Haiwei was captured in a rural area outside the provincial capital Harbin last night. A third escapee is still on the loose. More than 1,000 police officers are on the hunt for the final man. The 3 escaped from a detention facility earlier this week after killing a guard and then stealing police uniforms. A summit has been held in Xinjiang to try to promote Chinese President Xi Jinping's plans for the creation of a 21st century Silk Road. Transport ministers from a dozen European and Asian countries have been meeting in the northwest Chinese region to discuss ways to improve interregional transportation. Among the plans being discussed include highways and railways linking China with other countries along the proposed Silk Road. Yang Zhan is with the Chinese Ministry of Transportation.
“一带一路”呢，这次提出呢是要建立我们的经济命运共同体。
The idea to build the Silk Road and an economic build along it will spark common prosperity among regional countries. Development of Chinese subsidies will be necessary in realizing the goal of common prosperity.
The proposed economic Silk Road, which will include some 40 Asian and European countries, will cover a combined population of around 3 billion people. The summit marks the first time the Silk Road economic belt has been officially discussed since it was first proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping last year. And the idea behind the concept dates back to the 6th century in China during the Tang Dynasty. This was when China was the terminus of a trading network which spanned across Asia and Europe by both land and sea, which is commonly known as the Silk Road. A new report released by a collection of a dozen Chinese ministries suggests heavy metal pollution has been significantly reduced here in China over the past 3 years. The report notes a total of 4,000 high polluters have been eliminated since 2011. Chinese authorities have also shut down over 1,100 of the roughly 2,000 companies which breached Chinese environmental laws during the period. Jai Qing is the Deputy Minister of Environmental Protection.
We've been acting strictly on both the supervision and enforcement of heavy metal polluters. We are going to continue to crack down on companies which discharge pollutants secretly or fail to meet emissions standards.
Central and local governments have spent over 40 billion yuan over the past 3 years to try to prevent and treat heavy metal pollution. At the same time, the Environmental Protection Ministry is warning provinces which have been slow in eliminating heavy metal polluters starting to become a focus for the central authorities. A 3-day meeting meant to show the international perspectives of the Communist Party of China is now underway here in Beijing. Officials at the session say the Communist Party and the World Dialogue will help clarify China's ongoing political progress. Wang Jiarui is the head of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee.
The Communist Party of China is willing to directly communicate with the world and talk about our experiences and concerns during the process of the reform. We are willing to learn from other countries' experiences and conduct reform plans that are in line with the world trends.
Organizers say the event should better help the world understand China's development. Alice Ekman is a research fellow with the French Institute of International Relations.
Certainly, there is a lot of ambition when you look at the long list of reforms that are planned to be put in place. But at the moment, I'm here to understand how, in concrete terms, they will be implemented.
Joshua Eisenman is with the American Foreign Policy Council.
Well, I think that the best way to achieve the results you're talking about, to achieve reform, is to continue with the path of opening up the Chinese economy, and that allows foreign firms to come and compete on an equal footing with Chinese firms.
The 3-day session in Beijing bringing together 60 scholars, experts, and prominent political figures from over 30 different countries. Approaching 19 minutes past the hour.
A fresh perspective on important developments in China, plus a unique eye on the ever-changing, fast-moving global community. This is the Beijing Hour, your very own window on China and the world.
It's time for a check on what's happening business-wise on this Thursday morning. First and foremost, let's see what happened overnight in both North America and in Europe. Joining me on the desk with a look at our numbers, Ray.
Hello, Paul. Tech stocks have pushed Wall Street lower, led by a decline in Apple shares, which have dipped over 4% to below the $100 a share level. Rival Samsung, which has launched a new series of products we'll talk about in just a moment, also saw its share price declined just under 2% despite the new products. Airline shares also struggled yesterday in New York, with Delta Airlines dropping 5.5%. On the commodities front, crude prices rebounded Wednesday amid positive U.S. factory data and the forthcoming ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine. At close, the Dow rose 0.1%, the S&P 500 closed flat, and the Nasdaq dropped 0.4%. In Europe, London's FTSE 100 jumped by 0.7%, closing near record highs. The French CAC 40 picked up 1%. Germany's DAX increased 1.3%.
Oh, thank you very much, Ben Ray. China's non-manufacturing activity seeing a slight recovery through August, boosted by the services sector. The official non-manufacturing purchasing managers index rising to 54.4 this past month. It's up from 54.2 in July. Index tracks business activity in a number of different sectors, including construction, aviation, railways, and real estate, amongst others. Services sector accelerating moderately, with its index rising 0.4%, but business activity in the construction sector is slowing down. The new order index dropping by 4.1 points, putting it below the 50 threshold, which indicates shrinking demand. Economists suggesting now that the component indices are suggesting a mixed picture rather than a broader-based rebound of the overall Chinese economy. Well, as Monroe alluded to, tech was the big talk yesterday in North America, with Samsung unveiling the latest version of its flagship smartphone Galaxy Note 4, the 5.7-inch screen phone being launched in Beijing, New York, and Berlin as well. New model offering new accessories designed to try to attract gamers. And at the same time, Samsung also unveiling a new virtual reality headset called Gear VR. But the big buzz surrounding the Note Edge, which is a limited edition version of the Note with a curved edge screen.
For me, the most encouraging is I like the edge because there's some rumors about people years ago. So for me, like you, the best if I told you because you like forest, there are also like no trees. Diese Edge-Sache, die hatten so vorher nur in.
They only had the Edge in a test version previously, so now it is coming straight onto the market, and then we will see how the applications work. There is no limit to the creativity, so we will have to wait and see, but it seems to be very interesting.
Samsung also unveiling a new smartwatch, the Gear S, capable of making and receiving calls without the need of a mobile phone nearby. Release of the new Samsung products comes just ahead of Apple's impending release of the new series of products, which is expected to include the new iPhone 6 and an Apple smartwatch as well. For more on the release of the new Apple products, we're joined live on the line now by Cao Tan, who's our financial commentator. Cao Tan, thank you very much, as always, for taking the time with us. Well, let's talk about Apple first and foremost. Now, this is a company that always does well with its rollouts because there's a lot of hype surrounding the products. But this is also a company which finds itself a little bit of controversy over concerns about its cloud computing system connected to some nude photos from celebrities. But that being said, what is the anticipation on the market surrounding Apple's release of its new products? I mean, are we expecting a big boost for the company with these new impending products?
Well, I think it's very interesting because we have seen the negative news about Apple products. But Apple's crisis management skills are quite good because they are blaming the breach of the security system upon the celebrities themselves, failing to come up with more sophisticated passwords. Hopefully, we can turn it around and turn negative publicity into positive one. Um, and Apple has been doing pretty well traditionally with their new products. Me as a Samsung user, I'm actually switching to Apple 6 because I know that a lot of my friends are using many different applications from the Apple Store, which are really cool, and so it's very attractive from my perspective. So a lot more people are still, are buying their products. So if their products up to the standard, I think they'll continue to do well.
One of the issues, of course, with Apple is the price. And here in China, you've seen, over the past few weeks, a number of Chinese upstart cell phone makers rolling out new products to try and challenge the high cost that Apple has put out. How do you deal with that element here in China? I mean, given the fact that Apple smartphones are probably 3 times the cost of what somebody like Xiaomi or somebody else might put out.
Well, it's quite a challenge for Apple, but it's not unique. If you look at the automobile market, many luxury brands are charging many times the price of the economy cars, the cars made domestically. But they're still doing quite well because of their superior service, their better products. So the question for Apple is how do they justify their higher price given the competitive market? If their quality is much more superior to the Chinese competitors, then their price would make sense. So it's just like any other product. Price is one factor. It also comes down to the actual service, the actual quality of the product.
Cao Tan, GRI's financial commentator. European Union antitrust regulators have fined Philips, Samsung, and Infineon a total of 138 million euros for fixing the prices of chips used in mobile SIM cards. The European Union Competition Commissioner Joaquin Alamina.
These companies colluded in order to coordinate their market behavior throughout Europe. They held contacts to discuss prices, price trends, as well as production capacity.
They also disclose to each other their future market conduct, in general, or for negotiations with individual customers.
German chipmaker Infineon being hit with the biggest fine of just under 83 million euros. Samsung being fined 35, while Philips being hit with 20 million. Infineon and Philips say they do plan to appeal. Hainan Airlines opening up a new route to Paris. The flight will begin in Hangzhou, then stop over in the city of Xi'an before heading off to the French capital. This represents the airline's fifth route into Europe. Hainan Airlines will run the flights twice a week in both directions on Thursdays and Sundays. This year, of course, marking the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and France. Hainan Airlines also running services to Moscow, St. Petersburg, Russia, Brussels, and Berlin. We're going to take a short break here in the Beijing Hour. Still to come on our program, and special reports will detail a new high-tech stage show being put on here in Beijing. Sports. 2 new teams being added to the Chinese Basketball Association roster for the coming season. And in entertainment, George Clooney is set to take on UK phone hacking in his latest film. Paul James with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
Gain a new perspective from visiting CRAEnglish.com.
Your definitive start for everything you've ever wanted to know about China.
Do you want up-to-date analysis, amazing video reports, live radio, and the odd laugh along the way?
Log on to CRIEnglish.com and get to know the Middle Kingdom.
Wherever you are, put China at your fingertips by visiting CRIEnglish.com.
Be entertained, be informed, and be inspired with CRIEnglish.com. The Beijing Hour brings you 60 minutes of comprehensive news and information from China and the rest of the world. We help you through the day with a mix of news, sports, and entertainment. We also bring you in-depth analysis of the day's biggest stories, as well as the closing numbers from the global markets. Join us here on the Beijing Hour. Let's take a look at the world together.
What's happening in China? What's happening in China? What's happening in the world? People I know. You have current affairs show with insights on the news that shapes China and the world. People in good health helps you to know the world. Every day, in every corner, a different person with a different story. Features show Frontline, Extremist Society, scenes, and brings you fresh stories from today's China. Frontline, here on the radio and online at skillsradio.com. Technology has made the world a smaller place, but there is still so much we do not know. Every week's postcard takes you on a trip of exploration and discovery. From a small village in Afghanistan to our protected cultural heritage site in South America, from Africa's amazing natural landscapes to the most advanced tech displays in the world. Postcard, where you meet the world without actually taking a trip. Postcard. Echoes from ancient times with the tempo of the modern age. Human Spotlight gives you more choice from the vast landscape of authentic Chinese music and culture. In the Spotlight, the best of Chinese music and culture from north, south, east, and west. In the Spotlight. Between family and career, they choose dreams. Between work and art, they choose passion. Between the divine and nature, they choose devotion. Between life and death, they choose love. For a journey of life, friends, and voices from other lands. Everywhere you look today, China is in the news. But what about the lives behind the stories? How do ordinary Chinese live and work? And does everyone here know Kung Fu? Life Up Close answers the questions you wonder when you think of China. Over 1 billion people and as many stories from all over this vast land. Life Up Close, bringing you all you need to know about the real Chinese living here in China. Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday by China Radio International. Paul James with you on this Thursday morning. Still to come here on the Beijing Hour. And special reports, producers of a 3D stage performance here in Beijing, hoping to turn it into a permanent fixture. Sports, 2 new clubs being confirmed for the forthcoming China Basketball Association season. Entertainment, UK phone hacking scandal to become the latest project for Hollywood veteran George Clooney. First, the headline news. China marking the 69th anniversary of the victory over Japan in World War II. The high-profile ceremony and symposium